We should talk about someone who has been described as a demon, a crazy woman, a complete propagandist, and that person is children's YouTuber Miss Rachel. Because you had a ton of people just absolutely furious that she sang songs with children whose families have been separated by ICE detention centers. I know, this monster, somebody must stop her. Won't someone think of the children? Oh, she is, that's her. And the specific here is Miss Rachel went to Delaney Hall in New Jersey, where detainees said that they've been subject to neglect and poor living conditions, reclaiming they've been given expired and inedible food, sometimes with maggots in it. Others say they haven't been able to access necessary medical care for cancer, diabetes, and other serious conditions. And so some detainees, they started a hunger strike, and there have been major protests from citizens outside, resulting in some demonstrators getting arrested. And so this week, you had Miss Rachel teaming up with the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice to call for the center's closing and speak to children whose parents or other relatives are detained there. So you had her sharing a photo of her hugging a child and writing, "But the Swedish children whose hearts are broken. They just want their parents home again. I spoke with a 13-year-old whose dad is in Delaney. He's a wonderful father," she said, tearing up. "He's been in the US for 20 years. He worked driving a truck. Her dad has to miss her graduation, their birthdays. It makes no sense that their family has been ripped apart. Why are we traumatizing kids?" Miss Rachel also met with other families to hear and tell their stories, posting a video sing with kids and their families.
"I'll sing from here, and you'll sing from there. Together we'll sing down the walls everywhere. With love in our hearts rising up like the sea. Together we'll sing until everyone's free."
But her compassion for these families and the choice to sing with these kids, it has pissed off the anti-Miss Rachel crowd. Or you've got accounts like Libs of TikTok sharing that video and saying, "Parents, keep your kids away." Others writing things like, "Evil at it again," and "This is so sick. Why do they always have to go after the kids and drag them into their insanity? Do not let your children watch this commie's propaganda." And again, this is their response to a video of a woman who makes educational content for toddlers singing songs with families whose relatives are in detention centers. That is the apparent act of sheer evil that they're up in arms about. But of course, also, Miss Rachel has no shortage of her own supporters. And if you go to her comments, she's being praised as a hero and a role model for her work. And notably, her effort to help kids that are impacted by the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, it doesn't really even stop at Delaney Hall. And I mean that both generally and also because she went to DC yesterday to deliver letters written by kids who are detained at the Dilley Family Detention Center in Texas, which is another facility that's faced a ton of criticism and calls for it to be shut down. According to Amnesty International, families there, they've dealt with prolonged incarceration without due process, denial of medical care, and inadequate access to clean drinking water. Families, they're separated while detained. Children and babies, they experience weight loss. And so you had Miss Rachel directing a social media video at those kids saying,
"I'm at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and I have your words right here and your letters, and I'm delivering them to members of Congress because they need to hear your voices. Your voices are so valuable. You have human rights, and your rights should never be violated, and no child should ever be in detention."
The letters, if you take the time to look through them, they're heartbreaking, saying things like, "We are not criminals. I want to go home. And I want to get out of here and go back to my school. They don't treat us well here. There are many children. We are kidnapped. Help." Kids saying, "I miss my friends, my teacher, my house, my bed." Others saying, "I've been 113 days in detention." Saying, "ICE used me to catch my mom and now I'm in jail and I am sad." And Miss Rachel also wrote a letter of her own telling Congress members, "One day, each of us will have to answer for what we did when we learned what was happening to these children." Right, and all of this is coming as there's a ton of outrage around how ICE has been treating young kids especially. You've got a report from the Marshall Project and MS Now claiming that ICE has detained over 500 babies and toddlers aged 3 or younger since Trump took office. And according to their data, on average, there are 25 kids in custody on any given day, but some days it's even higher than 50. And you've got child development experts saying that this is probably the most harmful time of their lives to have them in detention. So yes, you've had a ton of lawmakers condemning these child detentions, calling for the Dilley Center in Texas to be shut down, but also this is going to be an uphill battle because despite all the concern and the outrage, yesterday, Trump signed a $70 billion bill to fund ICE and Border Patrol through the end of his term. The Democrats slamming the bill as a blank check for Trump and ICE without any guardrails or oversight.